Welcome back to part 2 of this project, Clara. Links for part 1 are in the description box below. Let's start where we left off in the previous video. Go and do exactly the same on the other side. Okay, when I'm sewing on the other side, I have changed my foot to the zipper foot because you can see in a minute that we have got the zipper puller here right at the beginning. So just ever so slightly pull it away and then go and sew the stitch. So when you join these together, just make sure that they're quite close. But if when you open a zipper, sometimes this could just open up and this side would be longer than the other side. So I normally tend to keep it closed like so and have your zipper foot so we can still sew quite close to the edge. Okay, when we come to the end, fold the binding and finish with the back stitch. Okay, now we have sewn in on both the sides. We're just going to carefully, without opening the first fold, we're just going to pull this and leave the fold there because we are now going to sew close stitch on the fold. So we're going to go ahead and do that on either side like so, and then fold the sides like so. Go and give it a quick iron if you need to, and basically we go and sew an edge stitch on this side of the binding and this side of the binding. When we're finished, we're going to go and attach this whole pocket onto whatever fabric you need. You could do this in the lining or in the main fabric as a feature pocket, and go and sew an edge stitch all around and patch the pocket. Okay, you could use different colors here, different colors there, different bindings, and make this as your feature pocket to any design. Okay, so go and place your binding like so. I have changed my foot to the normal foot, and because we need some weight so that it could catch all the bulky fabric at the end, let's go and start with the back stitch like so and sew an edge stitch. Exactly the same way we're going to do on the other side as well. Simply move your puller away when you come to the puller. Now we have the zipper intact with the binding holding. So we finished the patch pocket, so we're going to go and do the binding exactly the same how we finished these bindings. Okay, before we go ahead, we need to fold. We folded once, we folded under an inch, and go and sew a top stitch first, and then we're going to go and bind on all sides. You use exactly the same technique like we did on the zipper pocket. Okay, we have sewn in the edges and here we have 2 pockets. So let's go ahead and patch this up to the lining. Okay, that is a lining fabric. That is the denim side and this is the inside. We are going to go and place it like so, and that's the top of the fabric. The straight line is the bottom of your bag and those are the side seams. Okay, now place it like so. So the corner, like here, if you take that as a straight line, place a ruler from one corner to the other corner and just align your pocket like that. When you align it at the bottom, just place your pocket about 1/4 inch higher than the straight line that's coming, because then that will align when you sew, it will align to the sewing line. Okay, place it like so. Just go ahead and pin on both the sides, and then we just go ahead and patch it up. Just make sure this is centered. It doesn't have to be a perfect center, but as long as it's centered, it's fine. So the same way, we are going to go and take the other part of the lining and go and do exactly the same with this one. Again, place your ruler at the bottom and then align it about 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch away from the ruler, like so. Pin it, and we start sewing an edge stitch on all 3 sides. I normally tend to start off somewhere in the middle because then you're not starting at a bulky join or the bulky end where there's so many layers of fabric and it almost rebounces the needle. So let's just go ahead and start an edge stitch. Turn the corners, drop the needle down, When you come to the starting point, just sew over a little extra and finish. We are sewing the other pocket now. So what I tend to do is I start about 1/2 centimeter away and then just go back and backstitch the end. That way I don't have a loose thread hanging around at the end. When I come to the end, I backstitch and I finish about 1 centimeter away. There's my patch pocket, there's the other pocket, and that's the lining. So I'm going to fold this and keep it away. So now we need to go on and stitch this buckle panel. So for buckle panel, again, I've used 1 layer of my linen fabric, backed up with a stabilizer, which is a woven interfacing. And I'm going to place it like so, place my denim on top, and we just go ahead and do a top stitch on these 2 sides. We're going to go and stitch both of them. When we're sewing this, you can see there's a little corner here. It doesn't have to be very neat, but if you can just make that shape ever so slightly, that should be fine. Okay, this is the buckle panel. So we need to do some alterations based on the size of the buckle that you're going to use. Now this is a 2-inch buckle, and this pattern is made for 2-inch buckle. However, sometimes we may take a little bit excess, a little bit less. So I want to show you how to get this right. Go and measure the inside of your buckle, and mine's coming exactly 2 inches. If your buckle is coming 1.5 inch or 1 inch, you can always alter this to the size you need. So basically what we're going to do, measure the end to end of the pattern, and that's coming to 3.25. So I just go and make a center mark. Now go and place your ruler and just make sure that you're doing the center, and then place a mark like so. Okay, now go ahead and mark 1 inch on either side, because that's the width of my buckle. If your buckle measures 1.5 inches, the center bar, then go and measure 1.5 inches and divide it on either side. So basically you can trim this panel to whatever width you need, and then we go ahead and make these changes like so, and then go ahead and sew the curve. So I'm going to go and sew on the curve again, so I get the measurement right. If you have a 1.5 inch or 1 inch, then your curve might become slightly deeper like so. So go ahead and do that. And then we come back and turn this over and give it a quick iron. Here I have sewn another stitch based on my marking. So now we go ahead and give snips all around the curve. Forget the first stitch that we have sewn. We're going to go and snip very close to the second line that we have just sewn in. Okay, like so. It's very important that you make snip marks very close to each other, probably about 1 centimeter or less, and that will give us a very neat curve. So let's just go ahead and do it the same on the other side. When you do this, it's very important that you use a very sharp edged scissors. So I keep this one because it's got a very sharp edge, and I only use this when I'm snipping the corners or the circles or the U-bend of a pocket and things like that. So that's very handy. So now we go ahead and turn this over like so, and you can see the inner round, because of the snips we have made, is just so neat and perfect. Okay, we're going to go and give it a quick iron, and then we're going to fix this on the buckle. Okay, let's give it a quick iron, and just make sure that you open these little corners, so that will go and fit perfectly into the seam allowance of the bag later. Let's go ahead and make a hole in the center of this panel. Once you've made up your hole, we're going to pass through this buckle. So let's just go ahead and do it. And pass it like so through the hole. You don't need to put an eyelet on this hole because it won't fray at all, because it's a circle right in the middle of the fabric. and we go ahead and sew a stay stitch, attaching both the panels so they kind of stay together when we sew. We're just sewing an edge stitch, so let me just go ahead and place it like so. That's enough. The next step is we are going to attach the zipper to the main panel and then attach the lining. So here is my zipper, which was taken out for roll. If you're using a closed end or an open end zipper, then you need to start exactly the same way. However, you can see there's a little metal end at the beginning of your zipper. Just make sure that is about 3/4 of an inch away from the edge of your fabric when you start. The rest of the process is exactly the same as I'm showing you with this zipper that I have cut out. That's the right side of the zip, right side of the fabric. Now I'm going to flip this over like so and just place it like that. Because I have got a longer zip, I'm just going to leave a little extra on the front and at the end. So I'm just going to go and sew a 1/4 of an inch stitch all the way, attaching this to the main panel. I'm using my normal foot, but I have made my needle position towards the extreme left and just go and sew a 1/4 inch stitch. Now that I have passed a little bit, I'm just going to pull my puller away, but I just have to be careful that it doesn't pass through there, otherwise my zipper will go waste and I won't be able to use it. Here is the zipper we have just sewn, and I'm just going to flip the zipper over like this. Now place one of my lining like so and match the two panels together. Now turn it over, and now by holding it like this, I'm just going to go and sew another stitch on top of the stitch that I can already see. That way this is going to enclose the zip and then sew my zipper in the lining like that. So if you want to pin it, tack it, do whatever, so that you get the neat stitch by matching both the panels together. So we have sewn in the lining. Let's just turn this over like that and give it a quick iron. And once we have ironed it, we're just going to pull the zip like so and go and sew a top stitch. So the zipper has enough place and it's not enclosing inside, and then the fabric will come in the way of the zipper when you open and close it. If you're using a roll zipper like me, please be careful, because if the puller goes out, then it's going to be a nightmare to put it back in. If you're not used to it, just please go and maybe just do a tack stitch at the end so that your zipper puller is secure. So I'm just going to pull my zipper like so, and now place my needle to the center and go and sew a top stitch. Now that we have put the top stitch, we are going to go and attach this side of the panel exactly how we attached this one. So just flip this over. Just make sure the beginning of your panel is matching to the beginning of the other side of the panel. Otherwise you'll end up having a wonky bag. So it's very important that you make sure that you have the beginning right. So let's go ahead and sew like so, and a 1/4 inch seam. And after that, we're going to turn it over, put the other side of the lining, and then repeat the process. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this and come back and show you the next step. Okay, we have sewn in the zipper and both the sides are now attached, and I have also sewn the top stitch on both the sides. Now let's go and attach the top and the lining. So fold it like so. So your main fabric's one side, lining on the other side. Let's go ahead and sew there, here and here, the same way here, here and here, every time starting and finishing with a back stitch. We're going to take a 1/2 inch seam allowance and starting and finishing with the back stitch on every side. Okay, we have sewn in all around the lining and the main fabric. Let's just go ahead and open the zipper a little bit, somewhere till the center, so we can turn everything out neatly. Before we go ahead, we need to open the seams. So let's go ahead and iron the seams open. Okay, let's just press it like so. Open one seam and give it a good press. You might have to leave the iron for a little bit so it kind of presses flat. And then turn it over like so, and then fold this back up and give it a good press. When you open the bag, that would sit flat. We have opened all the seams flat, so before we go ahead and turn everything over, we need to close the corners. So let's just go ahead and take one corner at the base of the bag like so, and then go ahead and attach it to the other corner. Match the seams together and match the corners like so, and go ahead and sew a 1/2 inch stitch starting and finishing with the back stitch. If you find it difficult to sew all 4 layers together, just make sure you pin, and you could sew 1 layer at a time and then go and attach both the layers together. It's entirely up to you, but I'll pin it and go ahead and sew all of them together. So let's go ahead and sew a 1/2 inch stitch starting and finishing with the back stitch. You go ahead and do exactly the same on the other side. Okay, we have sewn in the base of the bag. Now it kind of looks flat, but if you open it, there's a side opening here. And let's just get the bag out through the side opening. Okay, we have turned the bag out, and this is where we are going to attach the buckle panel, and then a bag will be finished. Before we do that, let's just go ahead and turn it to the lining side. Okay, so now this is where we are going to attach the buckle panel. So take one of your buckle panel, and then we're going to pass it through like so. If you've taken the right amount of stitch allowance on your zip line, then that should fit perfectly, and it is fitting perfectly. So let's just bring it up a little bit so that kind of holds it. And then what we're going to do, pin it. This is not a perfect straight line, it is slightly in an angle. Don't worry about it, let it be in an angle. And now go and sew a 1/4 inch stitch, hold everything together. If you have to sew a 1/2 inch stitch, it really doesn't matter, you can go ahead and do that, because we're going to bind it with a bias binding tape later on. Holding all the layers together, I'm just going to go and sew. I think I better start in the middle, otherwise my machine will not get through all the layers. So I'm going to start somewhere there, and then I'm going to go in a back stitch. Be a little careful when you come in the center, when you come to the zipper teeth. Okay, let's go ahead and trim. If you have sewn in any extra, you need to trim that off, because we're going to bind it with the bias binding to finish it. Okay, so that's how it looks on both the sides. Now what we're going to do is take a little piece of binding and just cut a little bit extra like so, and don't worry about binding the corners and turning it in and all that, because this is going to be inside and it won't be seen, and you can just snip this off later on. So let's just go ahead and hold it like so, adding another layer. It's going to be really thick, but we can still sew it. So go ahead and hold it like so and put a top stitch so that the raw edges are all binded together. If you can't do this together, binding it, then go ahead and do one layer at a time. But I'm just going to go ahead and do it all together. Okay, we have sewn in the binding. All you do the ends, because this is going to be inside, just snip that off, because bias binding won't fray. Now we go ahead and do exactly the same on the other side, Before you do that, I would advise you just tack the beginning of your zipper with a little hand stitch so that they hold together and then they won't open up when you do this side of the finishing. Okay, here is a little tacking I have done at the edge. So I'm just going to go ahead and attach the other side of the buckle panel and finish it the same way we have finished this side of the bag. Okay, both the tapes are sewn in on either side. Let's just open the bag and then pull the buckle panels like so, and that should sit in a neat top of the bag. And close your zip. Now let's go and attach the handle. We have attached the handle, and that's how your bag looks, and it's all neatly finished from the side with your buckle. And if I can show you sideways, and you can, this is a soft bag, it's not a hard structured bag, so anything and everything you want you can put. Thank you for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Let me know what you think by leaving a comment in the comment box below. I will see you in the next project. Bye bye for now.